Have you ever felt completely invisible in your own family? Like you're the mistake they forgot about? Well, that's my story. And what happened next will make your blood boil. It was Christmas morning. My mom stood in the living room with her fake smile, the one she uses when our relatives visit. My dad was holding a set of keys, expensive keys, and my sister Emma, she was already crying tears of joy before she even knew what was happening. But me, I got something that changed everything. My name is Rachel. I'm 25 years old and I've spent my entire life watching my little sister get everything while I got nothing. But this Christmas was different. This Christmas, everything broke inside me. Emma unwrapped a brand new $117,000 Range Rover Sport. Brand new, with a massive white bow on the hood. My parents were practically glowing. My dad had his phone out recording her reaction. My mom kept saying, "You deserve this, baby. You work so hard." Emma had just gotten a part-time internship. 1 month of working part-time at a marketing firm, and she got a six-figure vehicle. So what did I get? My mom handed me a small box, really small, the size of something that doesn't matter. She said, "Open it, Rachel, I found something special." When I pulled out that mug, I felt my entire body go cold. It was a dollar store mug. I'm not exaggerating. I recognized it because I walked past that exact same mug at the checkout counter 3 days earlier when I was buying groceries. The price tag was still stuck to the bottom, $5. But here's the thing that broke me. The words written on it said, "Sorry, I'm not your favorite." My mother looked at me with a smile and said, "It's cute, right? Because you're always so serious and dramatic. I thought it would make you laugh." I didn't laugh. I couldn't breathe. You need to understand something about my family. This wasn't new. This was years of the same pattern repeating itself. When I was 16, I made the honor roll. My parents took me to dinner at a casual restaurant. When Emma turned 16 the following year, they threw her a party. A $5,000 party at our country club. They invited 70 people. I worked my way through community college, 2 jobs. I studied at night and worked during the day. When I finally graduated with my degree in business administration, my parents said, "That's nice, Rachel, we're proud of you," and then immediately started planning Emma's graduation party from high school. They spent $8,000 on that party. I got promoted to senior supervisor at my job. When I told my parents, my mom said, "Oh, that's wonderful. By the way, Emma just got asked to be a bridesmaid in her friend's wedding. Isn't that exciting?" Every single time I accomplished something, Emma's existence somehow became more important. And our parents, they encouraged it. They talked about Emma like she was a celebrity. "Emma is so beautiful. Emma is so outgoing. Emma has such a bright future ahead of her." When they talked about me, it was like they were reading from a checklist. Rachel is reliable. Rachel is responsible. Like being responsible was a consolation prize. But that mug, that stupid, deliberate mug, that was the moment I realized something that made me feel sick. They didn't just favor her. They were mocking me for not being her. I stood there in my parents' living room, holding that $5 mug, watching my sister take a million photos with her Range Rover. I watched my mom stroke Emma's hair and call her my special girl. I watched my dad beam with pride like he had just given her the keys to the kingdom. And I realized nothing was ever going to change. I could work until my fingers bled. I could achieve everything, and it would never be enough to matter to them. So I made a decision right there. I set that mug down on the coffee table. I didn't say anything. I just walked to my room, packed a bag, and waited. Around 1:30 in the morning, when the house was completely silent and everyone was asleep, I walked downstairs. My car keys were sitting on the hook by the kitchen door. My parents' house felt different at night. Colder, more honest. I looked around that living room one last time. The expensive furniture, the high ceilings, the family photos on the walls where I was somehow always blurry or half cut out of the frame. Even in the pictures, I wasn't quite there. I wrote a note, not a long one, just 4 words. "I'm done being invisible." I left it on the counter, next to that $5 mug. Then I got in my car, a 2015 Honda Civic that I had bought myself with money I earned, and I drove away. I didn't plan where I was going. I just drove until I saw a motel with a vacancy sign. I pulled into the parking lot, checked in for the night, and fell asleep in a bed that wasn't mine in a room that didn't matter. But that's when everything changed. The next morning, my phone started exploding with messages. 5:47 a.m. Mom, Rachel, where are you? 6:02 a.m. Mom, this is not funny. Call me right now. 6:15 a.m. Dad, Rachel, your mother is hysterical. Come home. 6:34 a.m. Emma, OMG, did you really leave? Where did you go? 7:12 a.m. Mom, if you don't respond in the next hour, I'm calling the police. 8:03 a.m. Mom, you're being selfish and cruel, after everything we've done for you. But then came the one that made me realize how deep this really went. 8:47 a.m. Mom, your sister is devastated. She thinks she did something wrong. How could you punish her because you're jealous of a car? Jealous? She thought I was jealous. I didn't go home. Instead, I went to work. My boss, this incredible woman named Patricia who had mentored me for 3 years, took one look at my face and knew something was wrong. I told her everything. I told her about growing up invisible. I told her about the mug. I told her about leaving my family in the middle of the night. And you know what she did? She cried. Rachel, you're one of the most talented people I've ever worked with, she said. You accomplish everything you set your mind to. The fact that your family doesn't see your value, that's their failure, not yours. That afternoon, I called my mom. She answered on the first ring. Rachel, thank God. Where are you? We've been worried sick. I'm fine, I said. I'm at a motel. A motel? Why would you do that? You left us a cryptic note and just disappeared. Because I realized something, Mom. I realized that no matter what I do, no matter how hard I work, I will never matter to you the way Emma does. And I can't spend my whole life trying to earn love that was never going to come. Silence, dead silence. Then she said, That's not fair, we love you. You gave me a $5 mug from the dollar store, while you gave Emma a car that costs more than some people's houses. Then you told me to be grateful because life is fair. I felt my voice getting louder. Life is not fair, but your choices were completely, deliberately unfair, and I'm done accepting that. She tried to argue. She tried to tell me I was being dramatic, that I was making it all about me, that I was hurting the family. But for the first time in my life, I didn't back down. I'm not discussing this, I said. I'm blocking your number. And I did. That night, I didn't go back to the motel. I drove to my best friend Maya's apartment, and she let me crash in her spare room. The next day, I started looking for my own place. Within 2 weeks, I had signed a lease on a small one-bedroom apartment across town. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. Within a month, I had changed my emergency contact at work from my parents to Maya. I had gotten a new phone number. I had completely removed my parents and sister from my life. And I thrived. At work, I threw myself into my projects with an intensity I'd never felt before. Without the weight of my family's disappointment crushing me, I could actually breathe. I could actually think. I started taking on bigger responsibilities. I started leading meetings. I started getting recognized. 4 months after leaving, Patricia called me into her office. Rachel, we're creating a new position, she said. Regional Operations Manager. It comes with a significant raise and a team of 15 people reporting to you. The position is yours if you want it. I WNTD it. That promotion was more validating than any approval my parents could have ever given me. Because it was EARNED. It was real. But here's where the story takes a turn. 6 months after I left, my cousin texted me. She said my parents' business had taken a serious hit. Apparently, they had been using money they didn't have to maintain their image. And with the economy shifting, they suddenly couldn't afford to keep up the charade. No more spa days for my mom. No more golf club membership for my dad. And Emma had to get a job, a real job. My cousin said Emma was absolutely miserable working at a retail store, dealing with difficult customers and actual responsibility for the first time in her life. My mom had apparently told people that I was mentally unstable and had just abandoned them. She was painting herself as the victim. She was telling people that I was jealous of Emma and that I had a breakdown. But here's the thing. People believed me more than they believed her. My aunt started asking questions. She wanted to know why a daughter would just leave. She connected the dots. She remembered the inequality. She started talking to other family members. Suddenly, everyone knew the truth. 3 attempts were made to get me to come back. First, my dad showed up at my apartment. I saw him from my window and didn't answer the door. Second, my mom created a Facebook account with a fake name and messaged my extended family saying I was in crisis and needed to come home. It didn't work. Third, they had my aunt call me. "Your mother misses you," she said. "She wants to reconcile." "My mother is welcome to reconcile," I said. "But that starts with her acknowledging what she did and genuinely apologizing, and I don't think she's capable of that." I was right. The last email I got from my mom said, "If you're going to be this stubborn, then don't bother coming back. We're done." She was done with me. And I felt nothing. Fast forward to 1 year later. I'm now making 3 times what I made before. I have an apartment I decorated myself. I have friends who actually value me. I have a job where my contributions matter. My parents are struggling financially. My sister is working 2 jobs, and they're all still trying to figure out where everything went wrong. The answer is simple. They took someone who loved them and treated her like she didn't matter. And then they were shocked when she decided to love herself instead. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm completely healed. Sometimes I still feel the sting of what I lost. I lost my family. That's not something you just get over. But I gained something infinitely more valuable. I gained my own life. The mug is long gone. I threw it away my first week in my new apartment. I didn't need a reminder of my family's cruelty. I needed to remember that I'm worth something regardless of what anyone else thinks. If you're watching this and you're in a situation like mine, I need you to hear this. Your family's inability to see your value doesn't mean you don't have value. Your worth isn't determined by someone else's opinion of you. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away. I was the daughter they didn't choose, but I chose myself. And that's the best decision I ever made. The lesson here isn't about revenge. It's about survival. It's about realizing that you deserve better than crumbs from people who don't deserve your energy. It's about building something real instead of waiting for people to validate something that should never need validation in the first place. My parents created this situation. They chose the path that led here, and I refuse to feel guilty for protecting my own peace. Thank you for watching. And remember, if someone is making you feel invisible, the answer isn't to work harder to be seen. The answer is to leave and find people who see you without you having to prove anything. That's real love.